Let's talk about how this Trump and Elon administration is affecting the Section 8 housing program, HUD, and all the things. So President Trump has been in office along with his boy Elon for about almost 2 months now, and he has hit the ground running in a very aggressive way with a lot of spending cuts, federal funding freezes that are on, then they're off, and some of those changes are in fact affecting the Section 8 housing program, and we're going to talk about how that's going to affect you as a Section 8 landlord, a Section 8 tenant, or anyone who's interested in real estate in general in this year and beyond. But before we go too deep, if you are interested in getting started in real estate in general, go ahead and check out my free rentals to retirement calculator. This is going to show you just how many real estate properties, how many rental properties you need in order to replace your salary, replace your income, and retire early if you want to, and how many properties you'll need and how long it's going to take you to do that. So you can get that free calculator in my description box below. So first, let's talk about Trump's new budget cuts and what you need to know. So first thing to know is that Trump created DOGE, which is not an official government agency, but it is a task force that he created via executive order, and he assigned Elon Musk to be the head of this task force. Their whole job is to cut federal funding and make the government more efficient. The actual acronym stands for Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE. So some key facts about DOGE that I find pretty wild are the task force acts as an advisor to the White House, but they don't actually have power to cut federal funding. That is Congress's job. But because Congress is pretty much Republican-led, that gives them a lot of power and a lot of influence. And we're seeing that every single day with all of the different jobs that they have been cutting and programs that they have just let go. So as of this recording, DOGE and Elon Musk claim that they have saved the government over $55 billion, yes, billion dollars in excessive government spending. They really only have receipts for about 15 to 16 billion. And there was even some confusion on their website because they were claiming 55 billion, but the report or the receipts that they were showing actually said million. So it was like, girl, which one is it? What are we doing here? Yeah. So with all that said, let's circle back and talk about how this is affecting the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, and the Section 8 program or the housing voucher program. So first, Trump appointed Scott Turner, the new director of HUD, and he already has a background in housing, and a lot of people feel like he's doing a good job in terms of finding waste in these programs and minimizing it. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's already started to make some cuts to a lot of these programs. So far, he has slashed about $26 million from HUD programs nationwide, and about $4 million from diversity, equity, and inclusion programs attached to HUD, which is DEI, which aligns basically with Trump's anti-DEI agenda. So far, there have been no cuts to the official Section 8 housing program. And if you follow me, you may have seen I did catch or record a video of me actually calling my local public housing authority and seeing, hey, are our payments going to be made? Are they coming through? Funding would affect the February payments for our properties.
No, not at all.
Okay, so everything
no, we're
is...
not affected. We are not affected as of today, so February payment will be posted as normal.
Okay, thank you. And the funding freeze that happened last month or earlier this month, I can't even remember, that was basically freezing payments being made to Section 8 landlords and to public housing authorities across the country. That funding freeze has been blocked and rescinded. So in that regard, payments are still being made. However, there are still some major changes. Number one, there is a rumor floating around that about 4,000 HUD employees are going to be let go. And that's pretty much almost half of the employees at HUD. Now, what does this mean? With less workers, the processing of Section 8 payments, Section 8 inspections, all the things related to this program are going to slow down. Just with less people, you're going to have less movement. And this most likely will also affect local housing authorities who are relying on HUD to make these programs work, right? They're relying on the funding, they're relying on the guidance and all of that. So with all these changes, there could be a reduction in the number of vouchers that they actually give out to new Section 8 tenants. They could even potentially lower the payment standards for landlords themselves. This could possibly even result in delayed payments to landlords. Now, I don't think all of this will happen necessarily because there's still a housing crisis in this country, and there are still more voucher holders than there are available housing that accepts Section 8 and landlords that accept Section 8 as well. So I do think this is going to affect, Section 8 tenants a little bit more than Section 8 landlords because, again, there's way more voucher holders than there are landlords. There's still a huge need for landlords to take Section 8 payments and Section 8 tenants. But that does mean it's going to make it even harder for people to get vouchers and for people to get the affordable housing they need. Now, I do want to say, I do think there's there is abuse in the voucher holder program. There are people who they get on these programs and they don't find a way to get off. Their whole mission is to stay on. So I get why they want to reduce that, right? I do think they should put some sort of standards in place on how long you can have a voucher, what the requirement is, and make it so that there are some people who probably want to get off the program, right? But your income level has to be so low to get on the program. And if you go just almost a penny, if you go a little bit above that, you're automatically kicked off. That doesn't give people enough time to make better of themselves, and it incentivizes people to actually make less money because it's like, okay, well, I wanted to do better. I went out and got a job that pays me better, but it doesn't pay me enough to live the way I need to live, and especially with my kids or whatever the case may be, right? It doesn't pay me enough to live in this good neighborhood and have a safe environment for me, myself, and my family. I'm working towards it, but now I have been kicked out of this safety net. I have been kicked out of this program. So instead, I want to keep myself and my family safe. I'm going to make sure I work below this level so that I can stay within the program. So it's almost putting handcuffs on people because they would have to exponentially better themselves in order to get off the program completely. I hope what I'm saying makes sense, right? So I think they should revamp it in a way that it's standardizing, you can be on the program this long and you have up until this point to make XYZ amount of money to get off. Something along those lines. Basically making it so that people aren't almost forced to make less money to be able to stay on the program. Now, if you are a Section 8 landlord or considering becoming one, or you're a Section 8 tenant, what should you do with all of this new change? Number one, if you are a Section 8 landlord, you want to go ahead and secure long-term tenants right now before there are any funding reductions that I don't think are necessarily going to happen on our side, but you want to have that backup. So if you have a vacant property or you're in the process of getting yourself set up, I would move more quickly so that you can secure the tenants that you're looking for now and secure them for, a 2-year lease, 3-year, 5-year lease, whatever, so that you have that in place for the foreseeable future. If you are interested in getting 2 Section 8 rentals, and want to do it successfully without having to deal with bad tenants and all the horror stories people often have, I do have a free Section 8 investing quick start guide for landlords and aspiring investors that you can also check out in the description box below. The second thing you want to do as a Section 8 landlord is go ahead and check your payment standards and make sure that they are still at the level that is going to make sense for your property. And if they do happen to drop, you want to make sure you have a backup plan so that you are still cash flowing on this property that you spent all this money on and still able to make the monthly income that you are desiring. And if the payment standards change, you need to have a plan of action in place. And so that again means having a backup plan, which could be, possibly changing your strategy to have market rate tenants, maybe lease option tenants, which is like rent to own. So finding people who aren't able to easily get a mortgage and buy a property in this economy, but they have the money and you are renting to them with the option to buy in, say, a couple of years, right? So these people are going to pay you a large down payments because they do have the money, they do have the income. It's just that maybe their credit isn't fantastic or the interest rates are too high. So you are giving them that lease option. So that's a backup plan. Also, short and midterm rentals is always a backup plan too if you need to, let's say because your mortgage is a little higher than you would like and you want to make sure you're covering your mortgage and still making some sort of profit. And if you happen to be a Section 8 tenant watching this, the number one thing you want to do is make sure that your voucher paperwork is in order so that you can avoid any issues. And you want to make sure you are keeping up with your local public housing authority to see what changes are being made so that you're following along and you are not caught off guard. So right now, the bottom line is that a lot of things are still up in the air. If you are an investor, you want to make sure that you are just keeping up with everything that's going on because it's pretty much day to day right now. You know, changes are coming, changes are happening. There could be potential delays and things like that. So you want to make sure you have a plan of action in place. And if you are looking to get into real estate, I will say this. I lived through the 2008 crash and recession and all of that. And we're now in 2025. Real estate is still the place to be. 90% of millionaires own real estate for a reason, right? There's only so much land. They're not making any more of it unless there's like a volcano eruption, and that would be a disaster anyway. Okay. So anyway, real estate is what you need to get yourself into regardless of what's going on with one administration in this immediate time. Like the saying goes, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. So again, you can get my free rentals to retirement calculator to see how many rental properties you would need to replace your salary, replace your income, and how long it would take you to get there. Now, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and check out this next one here because when you pair the two together, you're going to be even further along on your real estate journey.